The abandonment. The wind howled across the frozen wasteland, carrying sharp flakes of ice that stung like needles. The planet, known as Phyrus 9, was a place where no life could survive for long. The ground was covered in thick layers of snow, and the temperature was so low that even metal could crack. In the middle of this deadly silence, a massive feline-like creature was chained to a jagged rock. Its fur was a mix of silver and black, shimmering faintly under the pale light of the twin moons. Its glowing green eyes scanned the endless white horizon, searching for any sign of escape. This was not a natural creature of Phyrus 9. It had been left there, abandoned to die. The chains around the beast's legs were thick, made from a strange alien alloy. They clinked faintly as it struggled against them. Every movement made the chains dig deeper into its flesh, drawing drops of dark, steaming blood. But the beast did not stop. Its powerful muscles rippled as it pulled and twisted, trying to break free. Each roar echoed through the frozen air, but there was no one to hear. Far above the planet, a sleek alien ship hovered silently. Inside, the Xiraths, a cold and calculating alien race, watched the beast through their monitors. Their leader, a tall figure with deep blue skin and piercing yellow eyes, spoke with a voice as sharp as the icy winds below. "It is done. The creature will not survive the night," he said, his tone devoid of emotion. "It is no longer useful to us." Another Xirath, smaller and younger, hesitated. "But Commander Zin, the beast saved our fleet from the Gloran ambush. It fought bravely." Zin's glare silenced him. "It is a mindless tool, nothing more. It has served its purpose. Keeping it alive is a risk. It is too dangerous, too wild. Let it freeze." The younger Xirath lowered his gaze, unwilling to argue. The ship's engines hummed as it turned and disappeared into the starry void, leaving the creature alone. Back on the planet, the beast felt the absence of the ship. It raised its head and let out a mournful roar, a sound that carried both anger and pain. It didn't understand why its masters had left it here. For years, it had fought for them, obeyed their commands, and protected their soldiers. It had been their weapon, their shield. But now, they had discarded it like broken machinery. The storm grew stronger, and the cold pressed against the beast's body, sapping its strength. Its thick fur was no match for the deadly chill of Phyrus 9. The beast lowered its head, its breaths coming out in short, visible puffs. It was a creature built for battle, not survival in such conditions, but something deep inside it refused to give up. As the night deepened, memories began to flood its mind. Faint, blurry images of another place, another time. Warmth, sunlight, and a soft touch. It had known kindness once, but those memories were distant, almost dreamlike, overshadowed by years of servitude to the Xiraths. Still, they ignited a tiny spark of hope in the beast's heart. The chains creaked as the beast pulled against them again. Its claws, sharp as blades, scraped against the icy rock. The ground beneath its feet was slippery, but it dug its paws in, refusing to fall. The storm howled louder, almost as if the planet itself wanted the creature to give up. But the beast was stubborn. It roared again, this time not in despair, but in defiance. Far beneath the surface of the ice, something stirred. The beast didn't notice it at first, too focused on its struggle. But then, a faint vibration reached its paws. It stopped and looked down, confused. The ground seemed to hum, a low, steady sound that didn't match the chaotic winds above. The beast tilted its head, its glowing eyes narrowing. It crouched low, sniffing the air. There was something different here, something unusual. Its instincts told it to keep digging. With renewed energy, it clawed at the ground, sending shards of ice flying. The vibrations grew stronger, and faint streaks of light began to shine through the cracks in the ice. Suddenly, a strange warmth spread through the beast's body. It froze in place, startled. The warmth didn't come from the storm or the environment. It came from within. The light beneath the ice grew brighter, and the beast felt a strange pull, almost as if the ground was calling to it. Its chains rattled as it strained to move closer to the light. For a moment, the storm seemed to pause. The air grew still, and the world fell silent. The beast stared at the glowing cracks beneath it, its heart pounding. What was hidden down there? Was it salvation or another trap? It didn't know, but one thing was clear. It was not alone on this frozen planet. The beast let out a final, earth-shaking roar, its voice echoing into the vast, empty night. This was not the end. Something was waiting for it beneath the ice, something that might change its fate forever. The beast's struggle. The storm grew fiercer as the hours dragged on. The beast's fur, now heavy with frost, sparkled under the pale moonlight. Its body trembled, but not from weakness. There was something stirring inside it, a primal force that refused to die. The hum beneath the ice had become a rhythm now, pulsing like a heartbeat. The beast growled softly, its glowing eyes locked on the cracks it had made in the frozen ground. The chains were relentless, biting into its flesh with every movement. It pulled harder, the metal groaning but holding firm. The alien alloy was designed to contain creatures far stronger than this beast, but something had changed. The light beneath the ice pulsed in sync with the creature's heartbeat, as if responding to its struggle. With a sharp yank, the beast lunged forward. The jagged rock it was chained to shifted slightly, sending a vibration through the icy ground. A low growl of satisfaction rumbled in its throat. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. It pulled again, the force sending cracks splintering outward across the frozen surface. The light below grew brighter, casting strange patterns on the snow. As the beast dug its claws into the ice, fragments of its past flashed through its mind. It remembered battles, countless ones, where it had fought alongside the Kyraths. It had torn through enemies, endured wounds, and stood as an unyielding force. But in those memories, something felt wrong. Why had it obeyed? Why had it fought for creatures that now saw it as nothing more than a threat? The ground beneath its paws began to tremble again, but this time it wasn't because of the beast's efforts. The light grew even stronger, shifting from a faint glow to a blinding brilliance. The beast stepped back, its eyes narrowing against the glare. For the first time since its abandonment, it felt a flicker of fear. Was this the planet's revenge? A natural phenomenon? Or something else entirely? Suddenly, the ice cracked wide open, sending chunks flying into the air. A sharp, piercing sound echoed through the wasteland, like the cry of an ancient beast long forgotten. The light burst upward, enveloping the creature in a column of energy. It roared, but not in pain. This light didn't burn. It was warm, soothing, and oddly familiar. As the light subsided, the beast looked down to see what it had uncovered. Beneath the shattered ice lay a massive metallic structure, ancient and covered in alien symbols. The design was unlike anything the Kyraths had ever built. It pulsed with energy, each symbol glowing faintly as if it were alive. The beast tilted its head, curiosity replacing fear. This was no natural formation. It was a construct, buried deep in the ice for reasons long forgotten. The structure emitted a low hum, and a small circular panel slid open on its surface. From within, a glowing orb floated upward, hovering just above the beast's head. The orb rotated slowly, its light scanning the creature from head to tail. The beast growled softly, unsure whether to strike or stay still. The orb didn't react aggressively. Instead, it began projecting images into the air. The beast stared at the images, its ears flattening against its head. The projection showed scenes of another time, another war. Armies of alien soldiers marched across planets, wielding advanced weapons that shattered mountains. The beast recognized some of the figures, Kyraths, standing tall and proud. But they weren't the focus of the images. No, the central figure was something else entirely. It was the beast itself. In the projections, the creature stood at the head of an army, leading an assault against overwhelming odds. It roared, and its army surged forward, defeating enemies that seemed unstoppable. But in the next scene, something changed. The Xiraths turned on the beast, chaining it and dragging it away. The final image showed them burying it in the ice, sealing it with the very structure the beast had now uncovered. The orb dimmed, and the images faded. The beast's heart pounded as understanding washed over it. It had not been abandoned because it was useless. It had been left here because it was too powerful. The Xiraths had feared it, feared what it could become if it ever broke free of their control. A low growl rumbled in the beast's throat. Its glowing eyes burned with a newfound determination. It wasn't just a discarded weapon. It was a force they could not contain, a being they had tried to erase. And now it was awake. The ground trembled again, but this time it was no accident. The structure began to shift, gears turning and panels sliding open. The beast stepped back, its claws digging into the icy ground. From within the structure, a small, insect-like drone emerged, its metallic body gleaming in the dim light. It hovered in front of the beast, emitting a series of chirps and clicks. Then, it spoke in a voice both mechanical and ancient. "Guardian, you have awakened the core. Your purpose has not ended." The beast stared at the drone, its ears flicking in confusion. The drone circled around it, scanning its chains. With a sudden flash of light, the drone fired a beam that shattered the metal bindings. The chains fell to the ground with a heavy thud. The beast roared, shaking the frozen wasteland with its cry of freedom. The drone hovered closer, its voice urgent now. "They will return. You must be ready." The beast growled in response, its eyes fixed on the horizon. The Xiraths thought they had left it to die, but they had only unleashed something far greater than they could imagine. The storm began to die down, as if the planet itself was waiting for what would come next. The hidden power. The storm that had raged for hours finally began to calm, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. The beast stood silently, its chains shattered and lying useless at its feet. For the first time in years, it was free. But freedom came with questions, its glowing green eyes fixed on the insect-like drone that hovered before it, casting faint beams of light onto the ice. The drone's voice, metallic yet oddly alive, repeated the words that lingered in the cold air. "You must be ready." The beast growled softly, unsure what to make of the drone. It wasn't like the Xiraths' machines. Those had been cold, calculating tools of control. This drone seemed different. It moved with a strange fluidity, its lights pulsating in patterns that felt almost organic. It didn't feel like an enemy, but the beast's instincts, honed through countless battles, kept it wary. The drone floated closer, its light scanning the beast's massive frame. "You are stronger than they anticipated," it said, almost in admiration. "The core responded to your will. It has chosen you." The beast tilted its head, ears flicking at the unfamiliar words. It didn't understand the drone's language fully, but it understood one thing. The structure beneath the ice was no ordinary relic. It had awakened because of it, because of something inside the beast. The ground trembled again, and the structure's hum grew louder, filling the air with a low, resonating vibration. The ice cracked further, revealing more of the metallic construct. Strange, alien symbols carved into its surface began to glow brighter, pulsating in rhythm with the beast's heartbeat. The drone circled around the beast, its voice rising with urgency. "You are the guardian. This place, the core, it was built to protect life. It is ancient, older than the Xiraths. They buried it out of fear, but now they know it has awakened. They will come to destroy it, and you." The beast let out a deep growl, its claws scraping the ground. Fear was not an emotion it entertained, but the mention of the Xiraths filled it with a burning anger. They had used it, discarded it, and now they were coming back to finish what they had started. The beast's body tensed, ready to fight, but the drone's lights flickered sharply, as if to calm it. "Not yet," the drone said. The core must be activated first. Only then will you have the strength to protect it. The beast glanced down at the structure, its surface shimmering with the strange symbols. It took a cautious step forward, its massive paws sinking into the snow. As it approached, a panel on the construct slid open with a soft hiss. From within, a staircase spiraled downward into the icy depths. The beast hesitated, sniffing the air. It smelled nothing dangerous, but its instincts warned that this path would not be simple. The drone hovered beside it. Below lies the heart of the core. You must descend. But beware, Guardian. This place was built to test the worthy. Only those with strength and will can reach the heart. The beast growled, its breath visible in the freezing air. Tests or not, it would not back down. Lowering its massive body, it began to climb down the staircase, each step causing the ancient metal to groan under its weight. The drone followed close behind, its lights illuminating the narrow path. As the beast descended, the hum of the core grew louder, reverberating through its body. The walls of the passageway were covered in intricate carvings, depicting scenes of towering creatures and shining cities. The beast paused to examine one of the carvings. It showed a creature that looked strikingly like itself, standing atop a mountain, surrounded by smaller beings. The smaller beings raised their arms toward the creature, as if in worship. The beast growled softly, confused but intrigued. Was this its purpose? Was it meant to protect, not destroy? Before it could ponder further, the staircase ended abruptly, opening into a vast chamber. The heart of the core was breathtaking. The room was enormous, its ceiling disappearing into darkness. At the center, a massive orb of energy floated, radiating light in every direction. The orb pulsed like a living heart, its glow illuminating strange machines and towering pillars covered in the same glowing symbols. The air was warm here, a sharp contrast to the icy surface above. The beast's muscles relaxed slightly, but its eyes remained sharp, scanning the room for threats. The drone spoke again, its voice softer now. This is the core's heart. It has waited for millennia, dormant, hidden. But now it senses you. Step forward, Guardian. The beast hesitated only for a moment before moving closer to the glowing orb. As it approached, the symbols on its surface began to shift and change, as if reacting to its presence. The orb pulsed brighter, and the chamber filled with a deep, resonating tone that seemed to vibrate through the beast's very bones. When the beast reached the orb, a tendril of light extended from its surface, reaching out like a curious hand. The beast snarled softly, its body tensing, but the light was gentle. It touched the beast's chest, and in that moment, everything changed. The beast's mind was flooded with visions, memories that weren't its own. It saw a time when the core was a beacon of life, protecting countless worlds from destruction. It saw the Xyraths discovering it, their fear turning to greed as they sought to control its power. And it saw itself, not as a mindless weapon, but as a guardian chosen by the core to defend it. The visions faded, and the beast staggered back, shaking its head. The tendril of light withdrew, but the orb continued to pulse, its light now brighter than ever. The drone's voice cut through the silence. You are no longer just a beast. You are the guardian of the core. The Xyraths will come, but you will be ready. The beast raised its head, its glowing eyes filled with determination. It wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. It had a purpose, a destiny. Let the Xyraths come. This time, it would not be chained, and it would not fall. The core's hum grew louder, as if echoing the beast's resolve. The guardian had awakened, and the fight was only beginning. The awakening. The glowing chamber pulsed with energy, its rhythm now perfectly aligned with the beast's heartbeat. The air seemed alive, charged with power that hummed through the walls and resonated deep in the beast's bones. The massive orb at the center of the chamber dimmed for a moment, its light pulling inward as if gathering strength. The silence that followed was heavy, almost suffocating, before the orb burst outward in a dazzling display of light. The entire chamber lit up, and with it, the ancient machines around the walls began to whir to life. The beast stood in the center, its massive frame bathed in golden light. Its fur, still frosted from the cold above, glistened like polished silver. The symbols carved into the walls shifted and rearranged themselves, forming patterns that the beast could not understand. But somehow, they felt familiar. The insect-like drone buzzed closer, its voice crackling with urgency. "The core has awakened," it said, its tone tinged with both awe and caution. "But its power is not yet stable. The process requires a guide." The beast growled softly, its sharp claws scraping against the smooth metal floor. It didn't fully understand the drone's words, but it could sense the importance of the moment. The orb, now swirling with energy, extended another tendril of light toward the beast. This time, the light didn't merely touch. It wrapped around the beast, enveloping it in a cocoon of warmth and brilliance. For a moment, the beast felt weightless. Its mind was flooded with more visions, clearer this time. It saw the core's creators, tall, graceful beings with elongated limbs and luminous eyes. They were architects of balance, protectors of life, who had built the core to preserve the harmony of the galaxy. But something had gone wrong. The visions darkened, showing fleets of warships descending upon their worlds, led by the HFY. The creators had hidden the core, burying it deep within Feline 9's frozen crust. But they knew it wouldn't remain safe forever. The final vision showed the creators activating a failsafe. A guardian, engineered from the fiercest and most intelligent life forms, would awaken when the core was in danger. The beast realized with a jolt. It wasn't an accident that it had been left here. It wasn't just discarded by the HFY. It was meant to find this place. The light cocoon dissipated, and the beast landed back on the chamber floor with a heavy thud. It shook its massive body, its glowing eyes brighter than ever. The drone hovered closer, its lights flickering in what looked like excitement. "The core recognizes you," the drone said. "You are bonded to its power now. But the process is incomplete. The final activation will require your will and your strength." The ground beneath them trembled again, but this time it wasn't the core's doing. A distant rumble echoed through the chamber, growing louder with each passing second. The beast's ears flicked, its sharp senses catching vibrations from above. It turned to the drone, growling in warning. "They've arrived," the drone said, its voice dropping to a grim tone. "The HFY. They must have detected the core's awakening." The beast let out a thunderous roar, its voice echoing through the chamber like a battle cry. The drone zipped toward a nearby console, its tiny metallic limbs tapping rapidly on the glowing symbols. "The core's defenses are not yet fully operational," it said. "We need more time. You must hold them off." The beast turned toward the staircase it had descended. It could already hear the faint hum of alien ships breaking through Feline 9's atmosphere. The HFY were nothing if not efficient, and they would stop at nothing to destroy the core. But the beast was no longer the discarded weapon they had left behind. It was something far more powerful now, a guardian with a purpose. As the beast climbed back toward the surface, the drone followed, its voice guiding the way. "Use the core's energy," it said. "It flows through you now. Trust your instincts." The beast emerged into the frozen wasteland just as the first HFY ship descended from the sky. The sleek, black vessel was shaped like an arrowhead, its surface gleaming in the moonlight. A hatch opened, and a group of heavily armored HFY soldiers stepped out, their weapons glowing with lethal energy. The leader of the group, tall and imposing with deep blue skin and piercing yellow eyes, stepped forward. "So, you're still alive," the leader said, his voice amplified by his helmet. "We should have finished you when we had the chance." The beast snarled, lowering its massive body into a defensive stance. Its claws dug into the snow, and its glowing eyes burned with defiance. The air around it seemed to shimmer as the core's energy coursed through its veins. The Xirath soldiers raised their weapons, but before they could fire, the beast charged. It moved faster than they expected, a blur of silver and black against the white landscape. With a single swipe of its claws, it sent 2 soldiers flying, their weapons clattering uselessly to the ground. The leader shouted commands, but the beast was relentless. It roared, and the ground beneath the soldiers cracked, sending shards of ice flying upward. The Xirath leader's gaze shifted toward the core's entrance, realization dawning on his face. "It's awakened," he muttered, his voice tinged with both fear and anger. "We can't let it reach full activation. Destroy the structure." As more ships descended, the beast found itself surrounded. But it didn't feel fear. The core's energy surged within it, lending its strength far beyond anything it had known before. It roared again, the sound shaking the very air, and leaped into the fray. This was no longer a fight for survival. It was a battle for the core, a battle for the galaxy's future. The Xirath's plan revealed. The frozen battlefield erupted into chaos as the beast, now fully imbued with the core's energy, clashed with the Xirath soldiers. The storm above had stilled, leaving the eerie silence of Phyrus, 9 broken only by the sound of weapons firing, claws tearing, and the roars of the ferocious guardian. Yet even as it fought, the beast could feel the weight of the battle pressing down. The Xiraths were relentless, and their numbers seemed endless. Above, their ships hovered like ominous shadows, dropping more troops with every passing moment. Their leader, Commander Zin, stood atop a rocky outcrop, his glowing yellow eyes fixed on the beast. He showed no fear, no hesitation, only cold calculation. "Push it back toward the structure," Zin barked to his soldiers. "We can't let it protect the core." The beast roared in defiance, its powerful body leaping through the air and slamming down onto a squad of Xirath soldiers. Its claws shredded their armor like paper, and the energy coursing through it sent shockwaves rippling through the ground. But even as it dispatched its enemies, the beast noticed something strange. The Xiraths weren't just attacking it. They were carrying strange devices, compact machines that glowed with an unsettling red light. The drone buzzed around the beast, its metallic voice urgent. "Guardian, they're not here just to kill you. They're deploying disruptors. If they activate those devices, the core's energy will collapse." The beast growled, its glowing eyes narrowing as it turned its attention to the soldiers planting the devices. It charged toward them, its massive paws thundering against the ground. With one swipe, it sent a disruptor flying, shattering it against the icy terrain. But as it destroyed one, another was placed farther ahead. From his vantage point, Commander Zin smirked. "It's predictable," he muttered. "Strong, yes, but it can't protect the core and destroy the disruptors at the same time." Zin raised his hand, signaling to one of the hovering ships. The vessel unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, not aimed at the beast, but at the ice surrounding the core's entrance. The ground shattered, creating deep chasms that cut off the beast from the structure below. "Isolate it," Zin commanded. "Keep it busy. We'll handle the core." The beast snarled as it realized the trap. The Xiraths weren't just trying to kill it, they were trying to weaken the core itself. The glowing orb of energy within the structure was still unstable, its power not yet fully awakened. If the disruptors succeeded, it would all be for nothing. The beast growled, its mind racing. It needed a plan, but planning wasn't its strength. It was built for instinct, for action. The drone zipped closer, its lights flickering. "Guardian, you can't fight them all. The core's energy can extend to the structure's defenses, but only if you channel it. You must trust the connection." The beast hesitated for the briefest moment. Trusting the core meant leaving the fight, leaving the disruptors unchecked, the soldiers advancing. But there was no other choice. With a deep growl, it turned and bounded toward the core's entrance, its powerful legs leaping over the chasms and shattered ground. Energy blasts streaked past it, But the beast moved with speed and precision, its body a blur. Inside the core's chamber, the pulsing orb of energy seemed to sense the beast's return. The symbols on the walls glowed brighter, shifting faster as if urging the beast to act. The drone hovered nearby, its voice steady. Place your paws on the core. It will guide you. Let it flow through you. The beast stepped forward, its claws clicking against the smooth metal floor. It approached the orb, now swirling with chaotic energy, and hesitated. Memories of the Tyrath's betrayal flashed through its mind. Could it trust this power, this ancient creation? But there was no time for doubt. With a low growl, it pressed its massive paws against the core. The effect was immediate. A surge of energy shot through the beast's body, making it roar in both pain and exhilaration. The chamber trembled, and the light from the core burst outward, illuminating the entire structure. The beast's fur shimmered, its claws glowing with the same golden energy. It felt the power of the core weaving into its very essence, filling it with knowledge, strength, and something else, purpose. The drone's voice cut through the blinding light. The core is linked to you now. Its defenses are at your command. Above, on the surface, the Exiraths were closing in on the core's entrance. Zin, confident in their victory, watched as the disruptors began to activate. The red lights grew brighter, their energy crackling ominously. And then the ground shook. Pillars of golden light erupted from the icy terrain, slicing through the air like spears. Exirath soldiers scrambled to dodge the blasts, but the light moved with precision, targeting their disruptors. One by one, the devices exploded, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. Zin's smirk vanished, replaced by a look of shock. "What is this?" he hissed. From the core's entrance, the beast emerged, its body glowing with golden light. The energy of the core flowed through it, amplifying its already immense power. It roared, and the sound was no longer just a beast's cry. It was a declaration of war. Zin clenched his fists. "Focus all fire on the Guardian. Do not let it." Before he could finish, a spear of light shot toward his position, forcing him to leap from the outcrop. The beast charged once more, its movements now enhanced by the core's energy. With every swipe of its claws, it unleashed waves of golden light that tore through the Exirath forces. The battlefield was no longer theirs to control. But Zin wasn't done. From the largest ship hovering above, a new weapon began to descend, a massive cannon, its barrel glowing with a deep crimson light. The drone's voice crackled with alarm. "Guardian, they're activating the nullifier. If it fires, the core's energy will collapse completely. You must stop it." The beast snarled, its glowing eyes locking onto the cannon. The battle wasn't over yet. If the Exiraths wanted a war, they would face the full power of the Guardian. The beast's decision. The battlefield was ablaze with golden light and crackling energy, a clash of ancient power and advanced alien technology. The beast stood firm, its glowing body a stark contrast to the Exirath soldiers scrambling to regroup. The core's energy coursed through the Guardian, each pulse resonating with its own heartbeat, amplifying its strength and speed. But the arrival of the nullifier, a massive cannon descending from the Tyrath flagship, shifted the balance of power once more. The cannon hummed ominously as it powered up, the crimson glow of its barrel growing brighter with each passing second. Its sheer size dwarfed the Exirath soldiers below, and the ground trembled beneath its weight. From atop a smaller ship, Commander Zin barked orders, his voice amplified across the battlefield. "Hold the Guardian back at all costs. The nullifier must fire." The beast's eyes locked onto the cannon. It didn't need the drone to explain what would happen if the weapon fired. The core's energy, the very lifeblood that now flowed through its veins, would collapse, leaving the structure powerless. The beast would lose its newfound strength, and the Exiraths would claim victory. The drone buzzed around the beast, its voice crackling with urgency. "Guardian, You can't let them fire that weapon. But if you attack now, they'll overwhelm you before you reach it. The beast growled, its claws scraping the icy ground. It was built for battle, its instincts pushing it to charge forward and tear the nullifier apart. But the drone's words echoed in its mind. The Xiraths were cunning, and their numbers were too great. A direct assault would play into their hands. The ground shook again as another wave of Xirath soldiers descended, their weapons trained on the beast. Explosions erupted around it, showering the battlefield with ice and debris. The beast leaped aside, dodging the blasts with newfound agility, but it couldn't ignore the growing hum of the nullifier. Time was running out. Think, Guardian, the drone urged. The core's energy isn't just for brute force. It connects you to this place. Use it. The beast paused, its glowing eyes narrowing as it considered the drone's words. The core's energy pulsed within it, a living force that responded to its will. The beast had already unleashed the core's defensive light against the disruptors. Perhaps there was another way to turn the battlefield to its advantage. Closing its eyes, the beast focused on the energy coursing through its body. The core's hum grew louder in response, and the symbols etched into the surrounding ice began to glow faintly. The Xirath soldiers hesitated, their weapons lowering slightly as the environment itself seemed to come alive. Suddenly, the ground beneath the Xirath forces shifted. Cracks formed in the ice, spreading rapidly as golden light seeped through. With a deafening roar, pillars of energy erupted from the ground, cutting through the Xirath formations and sending soldiers scattering. The beast's eyes snapped open, and it let out a triumphant roar. The battlefield was no longer just a frozen wasteland. It was an extension of the core, and by extension, the beast itself. The Xiraths were thrown into disarray, their formation broken. The nullifier, however, continued to charge, its crimson glow now pulsating with dangerous intensity. Commander Zin, his expression grim, stepped forward onto the platform of the cannon. He raised his voice, addressing the beast directly. You think you've won, but you're still just a tool. A failed experiment. He shouted. This weapon will erase the core, and you with it. Your fight is meaningless. The beast snarled, its glowing eyes narrowing at that Xirath leader. Zin's words were intended to provoke, but they only strengthened the Guardian's resolve. It wasn't fighting just for itself. It was fighting for the core, for the creators who had built it, and for the balance they had sought to protect. The drone zipped closer, its voice steady despite the chaos. Guardian, the nullifier's energy is unstable. If you can disrupt its core, the weapon will implode. But it's risky. You'd have to get inside the cannon to do it. The beast glanced at the towering weapon, its energy pulsing like a heartbeat. It knew the risks. If the nullifier's core was as unstable as the drone claimed, getting close could be fatal. But there was no other way. The Xiraths wouldn't stop until the core was destroyed, and the beast wasn't about to let that happen. With a deafening roar, the beast charged toward the nullifier, its massive body a blur of golden light. Xirath soldiers fired desperately, their weapons lighting up the battlefield, but the beast moved with precision, dodging blasts and cutting down anyone who stood in its way. Each step brought it closer to the cannon, the heat of its crimson glow searing the icy air. Commander Zin watched the beasts advance, his jaw tightening. All units, focus fire on the Guardian. Stop it now. The beast leaped onto the cannon's base, its claws digging into the metal as it scaled the massive structure. Soldiers swarmed around it, but the beast swung its tail, sending them tumbling into the snow. Reaching the top, it stood face to face with Zin, whose expression twisted into a snarl. You don't know when to give up, do you? Zin growled, drawing a blade crackling with red energy. The beast roared, its claws glowing with golden light as it lunged at the Xirath leader. The two clashed in a fierce battle atop the cannon, each blow sending sparks flying. The platform beneath them trembled as the nullifier's energy reached critical levels. You're too late. Zin shouted, slashing at the beast. The nullifier will fire, and you'll be nothing but a memory. But the beast, now fueled by the core's power and its unbreakable will, was undeterred. With a powerful swipe, it knocked Zin off balance, sending him crashing into the snow below. Turning its attention to the nullifier's core, the beast dug its claws into the glowing energy source, feeling the intense heat burn through its fur. The core's energy surged wildly, and the drone's voice echoed in the beast's mind. "Guardian, get clear. It's going to." The nullifier exploded in a blinding flash of crimson and gold, the shockwave shaking the battlefield and sending debris flying. The Xyrath's forces faltered, their ranks breaking as fear spread among them. The cannon was gone, and with it, their greatest weapon. As the dust settled, the beast emerged from the wreckage, its glowing body battered but still standing. It raised its head and let out a roar that echoed across Phyrus 9, a roar of defiance, of victory, and of warning. The Xyraths had underestimated the Guardian. That mistake would be their undoing. The final stand. The battlefield was eerily quiet after the explosion. The remains of the nullifier smoldered in a crater of molten ice and metal, its crimson glow extinguished forever. The Xyrath forces hesitated, their ranks scattered and broken, their confidence shaken. In the center of the chaos, the beast stood tall, its silver and black fur glowing faintly with golden light. Its chest rose and fell with deep, steady breaths, and its green eyes burned with an unrelenting fire. Above, the Xyrath flagship hovered like a dark omen. Commander Zin, battered but alive, rose from the snow, his armor scorched from the blast. He glared at the beast with unmasked fury, his piercing yellow eyes filled with both hatred and fear. "You think this changes anything?" He spat, his voice crackling through his helmet. "You're still alone. You're just a beast clinging to borrowed power." The beast growled low, the sound vibrating through the ice. It was not just a beast anymore. It was the Guardian, a force of balance, a protector of the core. And it was far from finished. From the flagship, a massive hatch opened, revealing a weapon unlike anything the Xyraths had deployed so far. A towering machine, resembling a spider with razor-sharp legs and a glowing red core, descended onto the battlefield. The ground quaked as it landed, its mechanical limbs digging deep into the ice. The Xyrath soldiers, emboldened by its arrival, regrouped around it, forming a protective line. Zin smirked, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. "The Titan Reaper. Let's see if the core's little pet can handle this." The beast tilted its head, watching the machine with calculated focus. Its claws flexed, glowing faintly with the energy of the core. The drone buzzed closer, its voice urgent. "Guardian, the Titan Reaper isn't just a weapon. It's designed to neutralize energy sources. If it reaches the core's structure, everything will be lost." The beast's muscles tensed. It understood what needed to be done. But the Reaper was no ordinary threat. Its metallic body was layered with shields, and its red core pulsated with unstable energy. The Xyraths had built it to destroy what they couldn't control. The Reaper's core pulsed brighter, and with a deafening crack, it fired a massive beam of energy directly at the beast. The Guardian leaped aside, the blast carving a molten trench through the ice. It roared in defiance and charge, its powerful legs propelling it forward like a streak of golden light. The Reaper's razor-sharp legs slammed into the ground, trying to crush the beast, but it was too fast. It darted between the machine's legs, slashing at its joints with glowing claws. Sparks flew as metal met energy, but the Reaper barely flinched. Its shields absorbed the attacks, and another beam fired, forcing the beast to retreat. "You can't outmatch it head-on," the drone shouted. "You need to disable its core." The beast's eyes locked onto the pulsing red sphere at the center of the Reaper. It glowed erratically, each pulse creating small distortions in the air around it. The beast growled. This machine was powerful, but it wasn't invincible. Using the energy of the core, The beast slammed its paws into the ice, sending a shockwave rippling outward. The ground cracked and split, throwing the Reaper off balance. It stumbled, its legs scrambling for purchase, and the beast seized the opportunity. With a powerful leap, it landed on the machine's back, claws digging into the metal. The Reaper thrashed wildly, its mechanical limbs swinging to dislodge the beast. Soldiers fired from below, their shots bouncing off the beast's golden aura. The Guardian climbed higher, its glowing claws carving through the Reaper's armor. Sparks and debris rained down as it reached the core, its massive claws poised for a final strike. But before the beast could deliver the blow, Zin's voice rang out. Enough. The beast froze, its glowing eyes turning toward the HFY commander. Zin stood atop a smaller ship, holding a strange cylindrical device. Its surface glowed faintly with the same red energy as the Reaper's core. He sneered, his voice amplified across the battlefield. Do you see this, Guardian? A failsafe built into the core itself. One press of this button, and the core will collapse in on itself. Your power, your purpose, all of it, gone. The beast growled, its claws still gripping the Reaper's core. The HFY had planned for everything, even this. Zin's face twisted into a mocking grin. What will it be? Destroy the Reaper and lose the core, or surrender and watch it fall anyway. The battlefield held its breath. Every HFY soldier and drone frozen in anticipation. The beast's glowing eyes darted between Zin and the Reaper. It roared, the sound filled with rage and resolve, and turned its full attention back to the machine. With a single devastating strike, it plunged its claws into the Reaper's core. The machine convulsed, its limbs flailing wildly as energy exploded outward. The beast leaped clear just as the Reaper collapsed in on itself, its glowing core imploding with a deafening roar. The shockwave sent soldiers flying, and the battlefield was consumed in a blinding light. When the dust settled, the Reaper was no more. The HFY forces were in chaos, their morale shattered. Zin, clutching the failsafe device, glared at the beast with pure hatred. You've won this fight, he hissed, his voice trembling. But you'll never win the war. The beast took a step forward, its glowing eyes locked on Zin. For the first time, the commander hesitated. Fear flickered in his yellow eyes as he stumbled backward, retreating toward his ship. The HFY forces followed, their ships lifting off one by one. As the HFY fled, the battlefield grew silent once more. The beast stood amidst the ruins, its body battered but unbroken. The drone hovered beside it, its lights flickering faintly. You did it, the drone said, its voice filled with awe. The core is safe. For now. The beast tilted its head, its glowing eyes turning toward the horizon. It knew this was only the beginning. The HFY would return, stronger and more determined. But it was ready. The Guardian let out a final, triumphant roar that echoed across Feline 9, a sound that carried not just defiance, but a promise. The core would never fall, not while it still stood.